There's members of Congress, the Moldovan caucus, and other members who are keenly interested in hearing about these elections and, most importantly, what will happen next with the new government that will be formed, what that government will do in terms of foreign policy. So no, I think that interest in Moldova remains high, but we want to continue to build on that. Well, it's one thing to have a democracy, but what people want in addition to freedom, but they also have desires like jobs, like pensions that are paid, and economic development. In most of the countries in the region, it's basically the same. When we ask people, what are the issues? What are you most concerned about? It's primarily the economy, jobs, sometimes corruption, but mostly economic matters. Democracies have an obligation not only to function as a democracy, but to help improve people's lives economically. And that's really a challenge throughout the region. I cannot speak for the government. I don't represent the government, but I am an American and I have my views, and my viewpoint is that the American government is going to show a willingness to work with whoever forms a government in Moldova. We're important partners, and so the last thing that the United States would want to do would be to disengage or reduce their presence in Moldova because of the results of an election. Elections come and go. The thing is, the commitment has to remain, and I think that's very strong on the United States' part. Whoever governs in Moldova has to help keep young people here. We all recognize that young people are leaving Moldova in very high rates. And our polling indicates that what young people would like to see, what would keep them here, is access to education and access to jobs. They're the future of this country. And so greater efforts have to be made, but it's all about education and jobs. I think that we're all very wary about Russian intentions towards Moldova. And we've all acknowledged that Russia has attempted to intervene in elections around the world, in the United States and in other places in Europe. And I have no doubt that there have been attempts to influence political matters in this country as well. I think we always have to be on guard against Russian disinformation, which seeks to sow confusion about democracy, about democratic principles, and again, to create a situation where people are unsure about democracy, to create doubts. So we have to be on guard against that. We have to counter Russian disinformation. We have to preach the values of democracy. One of the main components to defend against the Russian aggression in eastern Ukraine, the annexation of Crimea, is that the West must maintain economic sanctions on Russia. And in fact, data shows that the sanctions are having the desired effect, that everyday Russians have had a tremendous reduction in their standard of living. The economy has really, really been devastated. And so the position of the West should be, I feel, because the sanctions are having the desired effect, that Europe and the United States should not be talking merely about extending sanctions for another 6 months. We should be discussing expanding sanctions against Russia. Sanctions are key, and it's key that the West, Europe, and the United States remain united on the sanctions issue. Russia has continued to try to maintain influence over what it considers its sphere of influence. And unless the West stands up to this aggression, it will continue. It's important for the West to take tough stands against this aggression. And the message to the Russian Federation is its aggression against its neighbors is not going to be tolerated.